Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my personal opinions on the New Balance Furon Pro. Now, for those that are unfamiliar with this series, in my regular review videos, I try to cover pretty much every aspect about a shoe from an analytical standpoint. So the upper, the sole plate, the stud pattern, the inside of the shoe, the way it fits, the way it feels on your foot, the weight, everything that you should know about a particular product if you are planning on purchasing it. And of course, I share opinions along the way. What this series is all about is kind of my brutally honest opinion. A lot of you guys always ask, what is my personal opinion between this shoe and this shoe, or just my personal opinion on a product in general? And that's what I like to answer in this particular series. So sit back, relax, and I guess listen to what I have to say if you are at all interested. So, New Balance Furon Pro. What is this shoe all about? Obviously, the New Balance brand entering the soccer market again. Obviously, they were in the soccer market quite some time ago. Has caused a lot of hype. People seem to be very excited about this particular brand. I'm not sure that many people actually took the plunge and bought a pair of New Balance shoes, but people seem to be excited about the brand in general, even though it's kind of just a rebrand. For those that don't know the backstory, Warrior entered the soccer market a couple of years ago. They actually grew pretty successfully within the soccer market, and New Balance owned Warrior from the get-go, so they decided to kind of take that Warrior market share, turn it into New Balance, or rebrand it into New Balance. So that's why we have New Balance in soccer all of a sudden. With that being said, they introduced 3 new top-end models, 2 from the Vizaro line, 1 from the Furon line. You have a synthetic variation of the Vizaro, which I actually have a personal opinions video on. If you want to check that out, I'll leave an annotation on screen. We have a K-leather version of the Vizaro, which is kind of the more traditional natural leather option, if that's something that you're looking for. A shoe that I personally really like as well. Probably my favorite of all the New Balance models, followed by the synthetic Vizaro. And then of course you have the Furon Pro, which is honestly my least favorite of the 3 new top-end models from New Balance, and I'll explain why in just a second. Now, what the shoe is all about is something that is going to be thin, lightweight, very responsive. It's supposed to be the more aggressively styled and aggressively performing shoe from the New Balance brand in comparison to the Vizaro line. Now, marketing really doesn't mean much at the end of the day, and the end result is a product that is more responsive than what you're going to get from that Vizaro line, but also one that I'm not a huge fan of just because I found them to be extremely stiff. Now, if I had to compare this to any other shoe on the market at the moment, it would be the Hypervenom Phantom 2 or Hypervenom Finish, whichever one you want to compare it to. I guess the Finish would be a better comparison, and that the upper is very, very firm, and that's extremely noticeable when you put these on your feet for the first time. Now, the difference between this shoe and the Finish, for example, is that when you put the Finish on, yes, they're slightly stiff. You can tell the upper is firmer than normal, and of course it is a thin synthetic material as well, but it's a tolerable amount of firmness. It's just flexible enough to maintain a comfortable feel, and again, it's more of an issue of kind of just getting used to the firmness as opposed to the shoe feeling uncomfortable, and you kind of dealing with it until the shoe feels like it's broken in. Now, with the Furon model, it's a shoe that I put on, immediately noticed that it's very stiff and very tight, and it's something that never changed even several weeks into wearing the shoe, and that's really been my issue here. I'm in an opportunity in a unique position where I've had the opportunity to pretty much wear every single high-end model that's come out for the last couple of years, and I can honestly tell you that when you're buying a high-end product, spending around $200 or more on a single pair of shoes, these guys retail for $180, that you're getting pretty good stuff. Rarely do I come across a high-end shoe that I don't like at all. And that's not what I'm saying here with the Furon Pro. I think that there are some positive qualities about the shoe, but it's one of those few products that honestly I just could not ever get a comfortable fit out of, and that's something that, like I said, is highly unusual based on my experience over the last couple of years. It's a shoe that I put on my feet, it feels really tight, it feels really stiff, you pull those laces tight, and after 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, foot cramping would set in, and if you've ever had foot cramps in a pair of new soccer shoes, you know that that is a pretty unbearable pain. You can tolerate it for a couple of minutes, but eventually you just kind of have to untie the shoes, loosen them up, take them off even, and kind of just give yourself a couple of minutes for your feet to kind of readjust and feel normal again, as opposed to kind of just being squeezed to death, which is kind of what I feel like when I'm wearing the Furon Pro. Now this is the regular width version. I am slightly flat-footed, so that may play a minor role in this, but like I said, my experience with this shoe, you have the high energy return synthetic material, which is what they call it, and then the Phantom Fit support cage, which is the orange part here running through the midfoot. When you pull the laces tight, it also could be due to the actual burrito style tongue that they've incorporated here, where the lateral side of the shoe kind of wraps all the way around the top of your foot. It just, like I said, just feels very, very stiff on your foot. The synthetic is so firm and so well reinforced that it really doesn't have any give to it. It's not going to stretch whatsoever. It's got very, very little elasticity, especially in the midfoot here, where you have this extra support from that Phantom Fit cage. And like I said, it just makes for a shoe that feels extremely stiff on your feet and never really loosens up. I wore these things for 3 weeks trying to break them in 20-30 minutes at a time, as long as I could tolerate, and like I said, to this day I put this shoe on and it's almost guaranteed after 10-15 minutes I'm gonna have issues with foot cramping and I'm gonna have to take them off in order to continue on with my session. So like I said, just one of those shoes that I could not get a comfortable fit in. That's been my experience. That might be unique to me, I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure a lot of you guys have purchased this shoe, and if you have, let me know your experience with them down below in the comment section. Have you had issues with foot cramping? Have you had issues with discomfort? Because like I said, that's pretty much been my main experience with this shoe. Other things I'm not a huge fan of is the toe box area, and this is a similar complaint to what I had with the Visaro. I like the shape in that it has this kind of more anatomical shape. Reminds me a little bit of what you get from the Puma Evo Speed and Evo Power lines, but the toe box is just remarkably shallow, and it feels like it's kind of squeezing my toes down because of how shallow it is. It's not a huge issue with the Visaro because the synthetic material on that shoe actually has the ability to stretch a little bit, whereas this material just has not stretched at all. It's maintained its shape remarkably well, so the way it fits from out of the box is the way it's going to feel for its entire lifespan. So if you do want to purchase these, put them on your feet. If they don't feel comfortable right away, return them, because honestly they're not going to fit you comfortable ever, and that's kind of the best advice I can give with this particular shoe. I don't think it's a bad product, it just didn't work for me personally. I think the synthetic is really nice. It provides a nice thin touch on the ball. It's extremely responsive in terms of the amount of stiffness and structure you're getting from the upper, especially through the midfoot. Not a huge fan of the fit in the heel. Never had issues with heel slippage or anything like that. It's just a little bit too shallow for my liking. I like the glued in Revlite insole. It's not removable, but honestly I kind of like that, and that it's not going to slip around, and the quality of the foam is pretty good. The only downside is several months down the line, once that foam insole does break down, you can technically pull it out, but it's a little bit tricky. It's kind of like a non-replaceable thing. And then of course you have the stiffened nylon sole plate with the slightly more aggressive stud pattern in comparison to what you get with the Visaro line, but for the most part it feels and performs very similar to that shoe. So that's pretty much it in terms of what I have to say about the Furon Pro. It is not for me at all. Just not a big fan of how these fit me personally, but I like the concept of the shoe. I think it's well executed. I just think that it's more about the shape and the actual stiffness of the synthetic. They could have gone for a slightly more flexible feel, and it would have made for a more comfortable fit in the long run. At least that's my opinion. But again, let me know your experiences and opinions down below in the comment section. That's pretty much it though, guys. If you have any questions at all regarding the Furon Pro, let me know them down below in the comments, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you have any suggestions for other personal opinions videos that you'd like to see, particular products you'd like to see featured, leave those suggestions down below in the comments as well. I definitely will take a look at what you guys have to say. If you enjoy this series, want to continue seeing it happen on the channel, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.